Hello Math C, welcome to the little introductory video about what you're working on this week. We're continuing with work on scatterplots, where your objective this week is to use a linear equation that will come from a scatterplot, and you'll use that linear equation in order to answer some questions. Your learn task is an iReady lesson and quiz. Take your time going through the iReady lessons to make sure that you understand. They're always trying to draw connections between two different quantities being measured. Car goes by. Your do task, there are some slides for you to download, fill out, and submit via Schoology. Make sure the learn and do tasks are completed before we get together on Wednesday for our academic meetup, which is part of your Connect assignment, as well as everyone should be spending time during the week. Thursday and Friday is set aside in the schedule for you to work on the MyPath tasks in iReady that help to build up the skills that you have. Those will always be present. If you have anything that's a teacher-assigned task that's past due, that's the things that are on the left side of the screen, by all means, take care of those things, because those tasks actually will help increase your grade. Remember, you have to do the lesson and the quiz. Okay, let's take some look at some details and connect it back to some previous work for the week. Remember, your objective this week is to use linear equations that will be taken from a scatter plot in order to answer questions. So this is kind of a continuation from the past 2 weeks. The first week you saw scatter plots, it's like, hey, there's some dots. How are they sort of lined up? So the first 2 weeks we sort of looked at the dots, whether they were trending positive or negative. We put lines through the dots, and we tried to talk about a strong connection or a weak connection. We're always going back to this idea of a connection. This week we're actually going to try and quantify some of the connections by writing a linear equation from the straight line. So let's recall the slope-intercept form of a linear equation. Y equals mx plus b, where b is the y-intercept, where the line crosses the y-axis. So as a coordinate point xy, x is always 0, and then the y value b is the number from this form of the equation. M, remember, is your slope, which visually is the rise, the change up and down over the run, the change left and right. So we say rise over run, but it's really the change of the quantity in the y direction over the change in the quantity in the x direction. So here's a scatter plot, and it looks like it's trending a certain way. Yes. Let's draw a line through it. Okay, so I just drew a line through the dots, and it's reasonable to work for a little explanation here. We could actually write an equation for this line, using some points and finding the slope and thinking about the y-intercept. Then we can use that in order to answer questions, which is what you'll have to do in the iReady lesson. Couple of words that you'll want to be aware of, because they will come up. Say I wanted to ask a question about what's possible over in this part of the graph. You can see it's kind of away from the pile of points. There's a name for that. So allow me to draw I'm going to draw sort of a little boundary around all the points. So there's my little circle, all the points right here. If I'm asking about a possible question that would be answered way over here where there's no points, say I'm asking a question here. There's no data out here, but I'm asking a question about here. This is an example of something where you extrapolate. To extrapolate means to make a guess based on your trend line, but it's outside the data. So it's extra, it's outside. If I make a guess where I want to consider some range that's inside the data, I'll use a different color here. Say I want to know what's happening with y at this point in x. Since it's inside the data, it's called we call interpolation, or to interpolate. So if my question I'm asking is outside where all the data is, I extrapolate. If it's inside where all the data is, that's where I interpolate. But the question we always keep coming back to, is there a connection between this information's on the y-axis and this information's on the x-axis? One other direction you're going to see, and I just want to elaborate on it, and it's find and interpret the slope of the line. So what exactly do they mean by that? Because there's kind of two parts to this. When they say find and interpret the slope, first of all, what is the value of the slope? So they actually have to find out what's the change in y over the change in x. And when they say interpret the slope, what they mean is, so what is it describing? If this was time here in hours, and this was here in miles per hour. Oh, you're talking speed. So to interpret the slope means to explain the connection between y and x. Explain y over x. I hope this video has helped. I tried not to go too fast. Give me some feedback. What can I do to improve it? I miss seeing everybody. I look forward to seeing you on Wednesdays. And I'll leave you with, remember, it's nice to be important. It's way more important to be nice. Mr. O signing out. Bye.